Hey guys, welcome back to the Connoisseur Reviews. So, this video, you can consider it like a follow-up to my previous video about the National Dex and why we shouldn't be too concerned about it. Because I feel like there's a lot of people really upset right now. And in my comment sections, a lot of people were really upset. They're boycotting the game. They're calling GameFreak lazy. They're calling this whole thing a big travesty. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm belittling their emotions and the way that they feel about it. But I feel like people are taking it to the extreme. Because Game Freak is not lazy. Like, that sentiment is very, how do I say it? Very unoriginal and kind of lazy to say. Anytime we don't like something or a developer decides to omit something or, do something different, they consider it lazy if it's not to the same standards as what our expectations are. And I feel like in that regards, fans in general, not just Pokemon fans, but video game fans, film fans, are all a little entitled because they expect a certain they set up themselves up for certain expectations that the developers or creators or directors or whatever the artist is trying to make and trying to express and do. And if it doesn't meet that set standard that we as fans have, we feel like we're being cheated or the developers are being lazy or they're not giving us what we want. And in that regard, I feel like we have become very entitled because look at the amount of work Game Freak and Nintendo have put into Pokemon Sword and Shield. There's a lot of work. Look at the graphics. Just look at the amount of leaps and bounds it's done just from Sun and Moon to Sword and Shield. The textures, the graphics, the polygons, the nuances in the just the little designs. We couldn't get that level of detail in the 3DS. And this is a brand new hardware for Game Freak. And they're using it to their best abilities. And I'm not saying this is the most graphically impeccable game, but look at how much it's changed from each iteration of Pokemon. Even the difference from Let's Go to Sword and Shield is astronomical. Like, there is so much detail, so much environment, it's so much open space that these developers are creating. That's not laziness. That's paying attention and putting a lot of efforts into the little things. Those little moments in games are what make the experience even more immersive and amazing, because that's where we feel involved in the world, when we can notice little specks of grass and dust and snow and stuff like that. When we notice that kind of stuff, it really enhances the experience. And that's what Game Freak has done in Sword and Shield. Just from the little demo we saw, look at how much more graphically advanced this game is. There's a lot going on in the overworld. And then we have this vast open field, which is enormous. That's never been done in Pokemon. Pokemon has always been very close quarters, small congested towns, or, even the forests and stuff have been very small and linear. The wild area is massive. We have Pokemon roaming it, spawning, and not just spawning randomly. They're spawning in the distance. They're spawning naturally. They're not just in like Let's Go where they just spawn 2 feet in front of you and like 5 Pokemon pop up randomly. It's not like that. There's a level of detail and technical advancement that they've done in the Pokemon games. This is the most advanced Pokemon game. And they built this from, maybe they used some of it from Let's Go, but they made a lot of it from the ground up, because the graphics from Let's Go to this is very, very different. And that's the level of animation that they're putting into the Pokemon. So I understand the sentiment of people being really upset that a lot of their Pokemon are not going to be able to transfer into Sword and Shield. I'm upset. I'm really sad when we jump from Gold and Silver to Ruby and Sapphire. That was a devastating moment. My Pokemon were gone forever. like from gold and silver and red and blue, they were gone forever. I could not move them up in any capacity. And then the game's batteries died, and now I have no access to them. I still vividly remember my team and raising those Pokemon. At my very first level 100 Pokemon were in there. I haven't even trained a Pokemon to level 100 since then. My oldest Pokemon is a Swampert that I got from Sapphire version. When I started my journey on the advanced system, it was a Swampert, a Mudkip. And I've had that since then. And I'm devastated if I cannot. I mean, a part of me is hurt that I won't be able to potentially transfer it over to Sword and Shield. Maybe it's not the starters, but there are other Pokemon that I've trained throughout the years. Because I've literally transferred every Pokemon from Sapphire up until Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I have all my Pokemon. Yes, some got lost in the way because they were either useless or I didn't care for them, I didn't train them very well, or I trained something better. But I've transferred a lot of it over, and I know a lot of players have done that. And yes, losing them and not being able to use them in Sword and Shield is kind of suckish. But think about it, they're not gone. They're still there. Pokemon Home is going to store your Pokemon there. You will always have access to it. It's not like when Gold and Silver transferred to Ruby and Sapphire and you completely lost all of it. You still have access to those Pokemon. And here's the best part. We don't know what's in the future yet. They said at the moment, maybe the next enhanced version, they're going to implement more Pokemon. They're going to include more of those Pokemon. Maybe there is going to be a patch in the future. Maybe it's going to be in the potential Diamond and Pearl remakes. We don't know. They could always expand that. That's not something that's limited. They just said it's a lot of work to animate, balance, implement all those features into a game. They're doing so much with these games that people are just forgetting that because they think, oh, just use the models from the 3DS games. Those models are not as advanced as the ones that we see. Yes, they look similar, but look at the amount of detail, like little nuances, the little animation, the little gestures and stuff that they're doing. It is taking a lot more time and effort to do that. And yes, it's not big jumps, but it is enough to where they want to give each Pokemon their own individual personality. And 800, maybe 900 Pokemon, we're going to have it reaching close to 1,000. That's a lot of Pokemon to animate and put into these games. And it takes a lot of time and effort. And then there's the whole competitive side. People have been wanting the competitive scene of Pokemon to be more prevalent in the games and for the designers to put more effort into it. And that's what they're doing. They're going to be balancing these games. They're going to make it more competitive. It looks like battling is like the main focus of this gen. So, they're not being lazy. They're thinking about the player. Like a lot of post-game stuff happens in the battles. And that's what a lot of people do. It's like, hey, let's battle with friends. Let's battle with, gym leaders, online stuff. I don't know. There's a lot. I'm not a competitive battler, but that's a lot of things that people like and do. But yes, you won't be able to transfer. But if you look at the data, a lot of the Pokemon that people use in competitive battles are like the same handful of Pokemon. The teams don't change very much. People aren't using, a Basculin in their competitive Pokemon team. And it's just kind of silly to be upset about. I mean, I'm not saying it's silly, but it is something to think about. Like, are we really going to be using... A lot of my Pokemon just sit there. I like it just because I know they're there. But a lot of them just sit there. I don't really use them. I don't really train them. I just like knowing that I have a full collection. And that's what Home's going to do. I'm going to have my whole collection in Home. I will have all my Pokemon there. And here's the zinger. Pokemon and GameFreak have announced all these phone apps that they're going to implement soon. That's going to be combining with Home and all the other games and stuff like that. There's Pokemon Sleep. And then there's one more big one that people are forgetting. Pokemon Masters. They said that we will be able to use our Pokemon in Pokemon Masters. So how your Pokemon aren't just going to be sitting there useless. You can implement it in... I don't know how Pokemon Masters is going to work, but I'm seeing the potential. I'm like, that game is designed for your Pokemon Home Pokemon to be able to use in there. So if they're not in Shield and Sword, you can use them on Pokemon Masters. And who knows what other apps and games and features that they're going to use later down the line that will implement more of your Pokemon from Pokemon Home. So it's not just going to be a database, it's going to be, or a storage, it's going to be something where we'll always have constant access to our Pokemon. I could be walking down the street and, not have my Game Boy or Switch or whatever, Game Boy. But I can pull out my phone because I always have my phone. My Pokemon are always going to be there. I'll have my phone and my Pokemon are in my pocket. Like literally, I can go show off my collection to my friends and, whomever, other Pokemon fans. It's a more immersive experience. I can share it. Yes, even the developers look like they're upset that we won't be able to have these Pokemon in Sword and Shield. And I'm upset. I'm upset too, but I'm not upset to the point where I'm boycotting the game, where I'm literally calling Game Freak lazy. They're not lazy. They're thinking very forward. Yes, it is a step back because I love having my Pokemon in one game. I like them to explore the new region. I like saying, hey, my Venusaur touched Galar. I like saying, hey, my Vespa Queen is in Alola. I like that stuff. And then when they make the remakes, I like to be like, hey, my Vespa Queen is now in the Sinnoh remake when that comes out. But saying that, think of the potential of Pokemon Home. Your Pokemon aren't gone forever. Your Pokemon are going to be there. Yes, they won't be in Sword and Shield yet. And I'm not saying I know what's going to happen because I frankly don't. But there's all these other features and stuff. You can literally probably sleep with your favorite Pokemon with Pokemon Sleep. I don't know how those apps are going to work. And I'm sure they're going to utilize Home because it's going to be a hub for Pokemon. And I'm sure you'll be able to pull and pick and trade through Pokemon Home. And then just the Switch games or any of the future games are just going to be a game. You could pick and pull certain Pokemon, and yes, they might not be in that game, but they're always with you. It's more immersive that way. Just think about it this way, guys. Don't get angry. Take a step back. Think about the potential. They just had a big Pokemon Direct, and they announced all these softwares and all this stuff in Pokemon Home and what the potential holds. Yes, you have every right. If you don't want it, that's perfectly fine. But don't say that they're lazy. Don't say it was just an easy thing for them to do. If you want, be vocal about it, but don't say that Game Freak's lazy. Don't be toxic. Don't, ruin everybody else's fun. Yes, if you don't want to play the game, that's fine. Don't play it. But just take a step back and think of the potential and think of what I've just said. And, think about it and then make your decision. And we still don't know the full detail and the full extent. We could get maybe 600 Pokemon in here, and who knows how many new ones. If it's a new game, you want to experience those new Pokemon, right? I do. I want to see new Pokemon. I want to experience new Pokemon. And Pokemon has been getting a lot crowded. There's so many items, so many evolutions, so many extra stuff that just is cluttering Pokemon. And this is a good way to cleanse it in a way. Maybe they can condense a lot of the features down. Maybe make one Mega Stone for Pokemons that are Mega Evolved, or one Z Stone, and not have so many unnecessary items. And there is just so much stuff in Pokemon right now, and it's for them to just take a step back, clean it up a bit, organize things a little bit more, and get it down to its core root and fun. I think we'll have one of the best and most fun generations to come. So I know this is a long video, and I probably bored a lot of people in the beginning, but just take what I said and think about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you like what I said, hit like. If not, hit dislike. I'm used to it. My last video got so much dislike, but I'm just trying to be positive. I'm thinking of the future, and there's a lot of potential. So just think about those potentials and just take a step back and think about it, guys. All right. Like I said, follow me on my various social media sites if you guys want to know more about my opinions and stuff with the recent news and more early reactions to it. and my various social media sites at Awesome RLK or my Tumblr at the Connoisseur Reviews. All right, guys, stay Gucci.